you remove that.
Okay, so nobody's getting the truth from the mainstream media, folks. It's well past time to open your eyes, your ears, and your mind. Do your own research because something isn't right here. And if you can't see that, you are not paying attention, folks.
It's the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order. A world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations.
So let's look at each one of these and see how we can get this down to zero. Probably one of these numbers is going to have to get pretty near to zero. Now that's back from high school algebra, but let's take a look. First, we've got population. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
The important message that we need Australians to get vaccinated as quickly as possible. In line with that, I do encourage all Australians to please go and book your vaccinations as soon as you can if you haven't already done so.
Emma, get away!
When we are successful, we will be. We have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
Okay, we need to stand up against this tyranny, folks. Stop giving away your freedoms and liberties, because the more you give up, the more these people will take until you have absolutely nothing left. That's their agenda. Okay, good morning, wherever you may be around the world. We're just going to have a bit of a chat this morning, and then I got a radio interview in America in about an hour and a half's time with Scotty Sachs guys about Clyde Palmer here in Australia. But in the meantime, I want to reintroduce you to a good friend of mine that I met, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 years ago now. Did you get that link in that there, brother, in the background? Give me a thumbs up. Yeah, you all good? Yep. Okay. Oh, I hung him back up. Sorry, Mum.
Sorry.
Okay. So let's bring the champion into the set. He's got his stuff done. I think we're trying to share this out on all channels, guys. But Australia, introduce you to Mr. Patrick King. And mate,
how are you?
Yeah, good, Pat. Yeah. Now, a lot of people may say, "Who's Pat King?" Because we had a lot of new viewers here in Australia. Taking nothing away from you, Pat, but who is Pat King? Give us a rundown, man. What's going on in your life?
Basically, I'm a regular Canadian citizen. Used to be a regular Canadian citizen. At one point, I've had a time in my life where I didn't think things were adding up here in Canada, and I was looking into things about 15 years ago, trying to see why we were having such a difficult time just being Canadian and surviving here in Canada. And we were wondering what's going on. We start pushing. Some of us who knew this stuff was happening years before that, we were getting prepared for it. But now they kind of like hit us really hard back in 2015. And I started to speak out more and be more open on social media with regards to what's going on. And it garnered some attention. We started basically trying to stand up for our industry. And I work in the oil and gas industry here in Alberta, Canada. And we started to, protest the fact that our government was trying to hinder us, trying to do everything they could to eliminate our way of living out here on the basis of this Paris Accord, this carbon tax, this climate emergency agenda. And so, me being me, I don't take everything for face value. I want to look into it and find out what's really going on. What are they not telling us behind the scenes? So we start digging into it. We realize that it's a lot more nefarious than we thought it was. There's actually an actual agenda, and it was Agenda 2030 and the Sustainable Development WEF programs that they were trying to implement here and using Canada as a smaller population and easily manipulated into doing so under the guise of climate change. So we had an opportunity to take it to our parliamentarians back in 2019. And we formulated a little convoy, went to Ottawa to stand up for our oil and gas industries, along with this carbon tax that we were screaming back in 2019 is going to be a detriment to Canadian citizens, and it's going to hurt and hinder our ability to sustain ourselves. We're overtaxed here in Canada already, and now you're going to implement a tax on pollution. And we didn't agree with it. We drove to Ottawa with a mini convoy, about 178 trucks or so, and a lot of good-hearted people with their right intentions. And we went to Ottawa. We parked our trucks on the Wellington Street, the main street where the federal government's provincial buildings are, or parliament buildings are. And we protested for a few days. They told us they heard us. They were going to bring it to the table and see what they can do. After 2 days of leaving, they said your pipeline sanctions will be lifted. You can finish the projects that you had. Hooray. That's a win. We win. Now, fast forward through the nightmare that we've been going through with the vid, with everything else going on across the world on a global level. The groups had started getting, pissed off enough that we couldn't take it anymore. Our trucking industry was starting to take a hit, and the COVID mandates and the COVID bylaws and regulations and all the stuff that they were putting on was absolutely horrific to the Canadian people. So we decided to do it again. Let's do another convoy. This time we're going to make our voices be heard this time, and hopefully some accountability from our parliamentarians that they're going to alleviate some of the stress that's on us. When we started to get it going, we promoted it. We were not expecting the outcome that we have. And, we ended up moving it across Canada from all corners of Canada. It wasn't just from one place. It came from the East Coast, the West Coast, from the north of our provinces, from the south near Toronto, and all the major urban areas. And it started to gather steam. And it became, and still is known today, as the largest peaceful protest in Canadian history. And from that, we can get into that in a bit. But that's basically in a nutshell. We organized it. We were able to raise millions of dollars to do it. The government didn't like that. That's where they started freezing bank accounts. My bank account still to this day, after 3 years, is still frozen. And I fight diligently to try and get that unlocked, but I'm competing against an asshole lawyer who thinks he's God.
There was a lot of that going on. But so from what you guys done over there, at that time you and I had met Pat on a show over in America there called Dean, whatever his name was, can't got a bad memory. But anyway, and you and I got introduced to each other probably 4 or 5 years ago, and us Australians watched the Canadians step into that big convoy, and that was the impetus to actually kick Australia going. You know what I mean? That was seen around the world. We were the second country, or the first country after you guys, to say, hey, we need to go and do something the same. You know what I mean? So it was the inspiration of the Canadian one that actually got us over here, or me and my viewers, and that inspired, even though I didn't have any viewers at that time. You know what I mean? We're going back 4 or 5 years. But everyone in the freedom movement was not well organised. Everyone just decided when one bloke called Jim Greer said, I'm going to Canberra, I'm not leaving until I get some answers. And then I chased that guy down. We'd done a few shows, and next minute, boom, It's off. And, we put 2 million people through there over a period of days, Pat. You know what I mean? Unbelievable it was. And
Yeah.
and that was all off the back of the Canadian truckers. You know what I mean? So you guys were an instrumental part in actually, kicking off a spark. Now, whether each country had that spark, which a lot of them didn't, but we actually did. I think now we made it come out of the blocks too early. You know what I mean? And because they come at us very hard, Pat, with the weapons. And I'm talking about, their military weapons. They really whacked us. Who were kids, old people, you know what I mean, myself, whatever. But they were pretty, how'd you put it? Dick Dastardly, to go back to the wacky races, and Muttley was beside him sniggering about it, you know what I mean? And the military were handing the weapons to the Australian Federal Police to use on the Australian public. So we may have gone too early in hindsight, and that really hurt us. And because young kids and that got hit, we had a young girl with a big burn mark in her back like that, Pat. Got the photos of it, mate. Incredible. So that put a lot of people on the back foot, I believe. But we're coming to a time now where, there is no back foot anymore, because if you go on the back foot, you're going to get hurt. We need to be on the front foot, walking into this war as it presents itself. And we're seeing that it's continuing to present itself. Over here, we've got an election coming up. There, you've just had an election. But again, what's happened is, Trudeau, the little bloody WEF, bum plug boy, has actually let his handler walk straight into his job. You know what I mean? So again, all they're doing is moving the pieces around the chessboard, guys. So we've got a guy called Dutton over here. He's an ex-cop. We've got Albanese at the moment, Pat. Now,
yeah,
I can guarantee you they're going to put Dutton in. Okay, that's what's going to happen, because they're selected when they're not elected. All right, we've got big dramas over here coming up over the next few months. But if they put Dutton in, this guy's got intelligence, man. This guy will work it very well to actually do what the New World Order want him to do, or Israel, or whoever you want to call it. You know what I mean? But so we're in a bit of a predicament. We know Dutton's going to go in. We don't know how to really stop that. But you've just had Trudeau's handler actually put into his position. So that doesn't look good for Canada.
Oh, no, it's not. By no means. It's what you're seeing right now is you're seeing Justin Trudeau's mess after trying to follow in line with their WEF agendas, the climate agendas, and he made an absolute mess of everything here. Now you have his handler coming in, the one who's been delegating what he's to do over the last 9 years, Mark Carney, who's an unelected official. He has no riding. He's just a billionaire, millionaire, whatever, coming in, bought his way into the Liberal Party, and is now being ushered in as the Prime Minister of Canada without even having a riding or being elected. He is elected within the party, but it was also, if you had $350,000, that's the only way you could have ran. You had to give this money as a donation to the Liberal Party with zero refunds in order to run in this so-called election to just change up who's the party leader. Now, you do the background check on who he is. He used to be the governor of the Bank of Britain. He was part of the Brexit organization that helped basically crater Brexit in the UK. He was been in charge of the Bank of Canada here years ago, and now he's coming in basically to cook the books and claiming that he's going to stop carbon tax. He's going to stop all of this stuff. You're not even elected. Nobody elected you. There was a party that was elected, yes, but you as an individual within the party, you're not an elected official. You're a citizen. You're a banker. Not only are you a banker, you're an elite banker that is coming into this position, bought and paid for. And there's a lot of skepticism behind it and what he's doing. There's a lot of people are on high alert as to what the agenda is for him to come in. Now you've got Trump on our back door telling everybody that they're going to turn Canada into the 51st state. You've got the King of England making a trip to the United States for only the second time in the history of the United States is the King of England going to going to go to the U.S. to meet with the president. I think in a lot of ways, I think that there's something bigger going on in the background that's about to happen that we aren't going to recognize. And I think Mark Carney is coming in on this illusion that he was elected in, but he's coming in to do something else. And I really believe it's to sign the paperwork to hand us over.
Well, we got strange things going on here. Also, Pat, sorry to hear that's going to happen in Canada. But we knew this fight was these guys aren't going to lay down their hand, mate. They're going to just continue to fight, and they have a good plan. They've been building this plan for thousands of years. So we over here, Pat, over the weekend we've had, or last week, it started, you're going to have this big cyclone. The cyclone's been manipulated, it come down, got hung around here, then done a big right-hand turn to go and hit land, you know what I mean? Stalled it off for a while. We saw all the beams hitting it and everything, so harper darper and full effect. Something was going on because there's things that I'm going to talk about, but I know to do with military bases and that happened this weekend, and everyone was told to go away more or less, you know what I mean? Now, over this period of time, it's very funny that, we had the cyclone being manipulated, then we have, crashes from our ADF, everything was too sus. It was just, there was something going on. We just didn't know what it was, and they had the cover, they'd locked down all of southeast Queensland to do it. So, don't know. We're looking into it now, but that's sad, but I think Dutton's the same thing as what you're talking about with Candy over there, Pat. I think Dutton's going to come in and just sign us up pretty quick, mate. And look, in the background, we all know that the paperwork's been done. What we've got to do is get someone in, and that's when we've had a guy called Clive Palmer stand up, and I don't know how that's going to go, Pat. I'm doing a radio interview about it in another hour or so over in America. But, we've also had another three parties come together, which is Rennick's party, Family First, I think it's called. And then we've got the Libertarians. And then we've got, who was the other one? Rennick and Kelly, the Libertarians. And another one. Well, they're three adjoining parties, you know what I mean? They are three freedom fighting, parties that are coming together, you know what I mean? And then we've got Clive Palmer, who's a billionaire businessman, stepping into the fray as well. So
interesting.
Things are happening in Australia, very interesting. But we knew straight away when we saw Carney come in over there that more or less, as someone put in the comments, Trudeau's a saint compared to Carney. So you guys are going to be have to stand up. And how is it going? Are people waking up? Are people starting to stand up now and wake up to the tyranny that's upon?
Oh, 100%. People are awaking and conscious to all of the stuff that's going on with us up here. But one of the things that kind of hindered it, and for your viewers in Australia that don't know what actually happened after this, so we do this convoy. We get it in front of Ottawa. We get working with all law enforcement. We put all of our vehicles where they told us to park them. We get all of the liaison officers to work accordingly with each group of people. And then out comes the riot squads. And Justin Trudeau invokes what's called the Emergencies Act here, which is the formerly known as the War Measures Act, and gave him emergency powers that he could come in with riot squads, beat people. They beat us. They hit people with rubber bullets that took chunks out of their skins because it was minus 40 out. And I mean minus 40 below zero. It was cold, Celsius. And in doing so, it was a stain on the fabric, on the country of Canada, to see our own law enforcement who parked us where we needed to be parked, where they would like us to be parked. And then they came in and beat us after 3 weeks of being there. Not only that, these guys.
Yeah, you're showing your Pat. Yeah, you trolls in you, mate. Okay, so
always. And it's okay. It's not it. I'm used to it. These guys, though, end up, I get arrested. Okay, I got arrested February 18th, 2022. I ended up serving 151 days until I was given a bail hearing. I had 2 bail hearings, denied both, and then given a third one, which allowed me out at that point, but under the strictest of conditions, where I couldn't talk, I couldn't do interviews, I couldn't be on social media. I wasn't allowed to even have a smartphone. I could only have a flip phone for a short period of time. Then I was able to get a smartphone, and I was able to use that. Then I was under house arrest. Basically, I could go out during the day, but between the hours of 10 p.m. and 6 a.m., I was not allowed out of the house unless I had a surety with me. I lived like that for 3 years. So not a total of 3 years, because I did 5 months in prison. And then we fast forward into, I get released on July 18th, 2022. I get out. I'm under these conditions for 2 years until my trial even started. So for the last year, I've been in trial since May of last year. I've been in trial off and on. They do it in segments and chunks. The trial was an absolute clown show. The Crown Attorney was not all there for it. The evidence that he divulged was not even showing me in a bad light. It was actually showing me in a good light, but it was okay. But what they were trying to do is they were trying to give me 10 years in prison for organizing. I shouldn't say organizing. They gave it to me for mischief, counseling to mischief, failure to abide by an injunction, counseling to disobey a court order, and counseling to mischief. Did I say counseling to mischief? Mischief, counseling to mischief, failure to abide by a court order, and counseling to disobey a court order. Those were the 5 that I was found guilty of. The 4 that I was found not guilty, for a total of 9 charges, I was not guilty on intimidating law enforcement, counseling to intimidate law enforcement, obstruction of justice, and resisting arrest. The 4 major impact that the media was portraying, that there was violence, there was law enforcement was being intimidated, threatened, all of this stuff, it was a lie. They labeled me as that person when it wasn't me, and none of that was true. So now the Crown is trying to justify on these little minor charges to give me 10 years, and the judge stated in the trial, there's no way you're getting 10 years out of this, man. Like, you're crazy to think so. And Mr. King is protected under the Charter of Rights, which I'm not, or else I wouldn't even have been charged because I was protesting.
Yeah.
They exercised extreme measures, extraordinary powers, and deemed me under the Criminal Code of Canada and not charged under the Emergencies Act. Yet the Emergencies Act was what gave them the special powers in order to charge me under the Criminal Act. It's a big nightmare when it comes down to it. And then you go into the results. And now, as I am in right now, I am under house arrest for 90 days. So the verdict came out, the sentencing happened. I was given 90 days house arrest on top of the 5 months that I've already accumulated in jail. And it was accredited to a total of 9 months due to the conditions that I was in. So 9 months in jail, 3 months house arrest, for a total of 1 year in prison, along with 100 community hours, 1 year's probation, and a small fine that needs to be paid within the next 9 months. But it's a small drop in the bucket when you think about it. Oh, he only got 90 days house arrest. But what it did was I actually got a year in prison, and now it's set in precedence for anyone else that protests in the future that you will get the minimum of 1 year in prison if they feel that you are mischievous and can be charged as such. They will use my case now as precedent. So now it's set in stone that they can charge you they can charge you, hold you without bail, give you the most strictest bail conditions, and then give you the minimum sentence of 1 year in jail and all of this stuff for protesting, for standing up against your government and objecting, for saying no, which is supposed to be your fundamental right that you think is supposed to be, but it's not. And then here we are watching the fiasco take place. For 3 years, I've been silenced. I've had my freedom of speech taken away. I'm still debanked. So my bank accounts are still frozen after 3 years. We work tirelessly, my lawyers and I, to try and get them to unlock them. They drag their feet and then forget about it, and then they don't unlock them. 3 fucking years of having my bank account frozen, my kids' college tuition's frozen, my investments frozen, and not having the ability to provide for myself, take care of myself. A lot of things are just bullshit here. Why were they blocked? That's somebody who was there. Like, you don't need that.
Sorry, am I doing the wrong thing? Okay, although she was giving you hit, I was just going to knock her as well. I'll get her back.
No. It's all good. Just, no, you didn't need to block that.
Okay.
I get it. Right. I get it because we do get them, and I understand.
Oh, we get them all right. Oh, I get heaps of them, mate. It's unbelievable. They take our email, they subscribe us to everything around the world. It's evil. And you're getting all this email in from all these different places. They're just, a lot of these people have got a lot to answer for, Pat, when the end of the day comes, mate. You know what I mean? But that's a tip our way, man. I'm telling you, there's some trolls out there that are, the full force of our law, LORE, the law of the land.
Well, now you've got what I've gone through for the last 3 years, not being able to talk, not being able to, bring attention to what the shit that's going on here. And then I feel, honestly, and a lot of people are in behind me on the same thing, is we're seeing what they did to me to silence me as a means to get away with what they were trying to plan without somebody calling them out for it. And I had a big voice. I had a big following. I had the means where I was speaking of, how to stand up for yourself and empowering citizens on how to exercise their democratic right. I want to read something that I got, and this is from this is from the judge, and the judge's exact words. And for those that are watching that are part of my chat, you're all aware that this is going on, and I've heard this, but the guys in Australia, ladies and gentlemen, you got to hear this. Essentially, no violence or property damage occurred over the 3 weeks of the protest. And indeed, King counseled against violence in very direct and blunt terms in his online broadcast. This massive demonstration involving large commercial trucks and a diverse group of people, some with extreme political views, carried with it a significant risk of violence and property damage, neither of which occurred. King advocated forcefully against such conduct and can be credited as a positive influencer in significant respects. What you have there now is a judge openly admitting that there was no violence there. There was no property damage there. It had the potential, but it didn't. And you have a mainstream media saying there was a bunch of it, bunch of violence, bunch of extreme views, insurrection of the government and the parliament buildings. And in my own court case, I was accredited as a positive influence.
So you're a positive influence on the people of Canada.
Exactly, and that scared them. So they had to take my my voice away so that they could keep the dog and pony show going. But now that it's out, I've got my voice back again, and now I've got to play catch up for 3 years that I've missed. What's happening now is exactly what we were calling out. You've got the guy that's coming in screaming that he's going to get rid of the carbon tax, yet he was the one that gave Trudeau the backing and the mentorship to implement this carbon tax that we have here in Canada. Well, they've raised the carbon tax.
They showed him on our telly actually going for net zero. How are we going to get to net zero? So again, You know, he's saying one thing to you guys, and this is what happens with mainstream. Do they portray in other countries whatever they want to portray? But he's up there talking about we'll get to the net zero and we'll do this, and you know. So again, conflicting things we're seeing. You know what I mean? And how's your MSM playing him over there?
How are they incentivizing it? They're giving you a rebate check, and they give you a couple $100 and claim it as your carbon tax, your carbon checks, your climate checks. They're giving you a rebate back. So you're paying about $2,600, give or take, I don't know the exact number, a year, and they give you back $300. So pay more taxes. We're going to give you a little carrot thinking you're getting money back because you're taking the step and the initiative. And I don't know, I could show you outside, but it's March here. It's usually beautiful spring weather. We just got hit with snow last night. We had no snow here. It was beautiful. We were out all weekend, enjoying the weekend in the sun and barbecuing. And then all of a sudden last night we get about a half a foot of snow. And if you ask me, I think we can let off on the carbon tax because all that carbon tax we've been paying, it's proving it. We got snow in March. So it's working.
They're showing it the same all the way around the world, Pat. They're doing exactly the same thing, mate. All right. Yeah, the internet is pretty sketchy too, Pat. I know they're saying that my feed's not real good. Yours is good, but I'm hotspotting on the phone, guys. Anyone that on my channels watched the show last night, saw it get ripped down. Well, they took our internet before the show, guys. That was the problem. All right, they took the Wi-Fi out, so we had to hotspot last night off phones, and I'm hotspotting again at the moment while Mel's down the road now trying to work out what's been done to our Wi-Fi device this time. Probably another new one we got to get. But anyway, yeah, the mainstream media, Pat, what are they portraying about Australia? Are they saying much about Australia over there?
Nothing. Crickets.
Nothing.
No, we're not getting much on that. At least I ain't. Anyway, I haven't seen anything about it, but I stay away from the mainstream media because I don't listen to that bullshit. But I was gonna mention, you know, what people don't know is what they did on the background against me. Yeah, they froze my bank accounts. Yeah, they held me in jail for 5 months, but the conditions I was under, I was held in isolation for 68 days in the hole with lights on 24 hours a day. No ability to judge day or night. Then I was released out of the hole because they were under the threat that I may have had COVID, and then there was the threat of I'm going to start a prison riot. So then from there they moved me to maximum security, which is 24 hours lockdown with a double homicide murderer, in the hopes that probably I would have got unalived. And that's what we think. That's what it was. And then they fought to get me out of there. They couldn't find me. One of the guards come up. It's just a big shit show. But all to scare the regular Canadian people to be like, don't do this or this will happen to Pat. What happened to Pat?
Yep. Now, fear tactics. They're doing it now over here, Pat. You know, they're really ramping up, you know, the fear of everything. You know, like, we just had this so-called cyclone, you know, and they've now got $16,000 fines out for people that want to enter the beach or go on the beach. You know, like, it's just over the top, you know what I mean? So what do you see with the effects over there, Pat, of, you know, the Trump syndrome that's happening? You know, like, him and the boys are having a go. You know, they're getting stopped always. I have my doubts about Pam Bondi and Vance, and probably still do, but look a bit more into it. They're getting blocked by everyone they try and like approach to get information out, you know, to do with the Epstein list and stuff like that. So what's the real effect Trump's having on the Canadian people and patriots?
Well, he came in swinging like he always does. First and foremost, for a lot of people, they know my stance. I don't like the guy. I never have, but I think he's a smart businessman, and the country is a business. It is a corporation. So they need somebody in there that can run it like properly. What you have now is he's gone and pissed off every person he can. And he's using it as bargaining tools. to get what he wants in order to benefit the states. I think, in all actuality, I think his policies are appropriate. I think the no boys, no men in women's sports, only two genders, absolutely. Protect the borders, absolutely. But the tariffs are uncovering more than what Canadians, I think, really knew. And I think that was the whole reason for that, is the increased amount of tariffs that Canadian government has always had on the Americans in the goods that the Americans purchase from us. They've basically had a monopoly over it. 200% increased tariff on milk, let's say, to go across to the Americans is 200 times more, or 200% higher. Then we got more things going on. Like we've got the illegal immigration that is here, that we have, the flooding of it has hindered our social economic systems. Not only has it hindered our social economic systems, but now you're starting to see the ripple effect of that. The crimes are increasing. The gun laws are being brought up again to deny the ability of criminals being able to use of guns. But a criminal is a criminal is a criminal. If a criminal wants a gun, it's going to find a gun. It has nothing to do with licensed, law-abiding gun owners in Canada. So what they're doing is they're stripping our rights away under the guise of their problems. So their problem of flooding the market, flooding the borders with illegal immigrants, and destabilizing our country. All the while, Trump is trying to protect his country from that even happening. And I think that's bonus. Then he tells our government, well, muscle up, protect your border, get it done, or else I'm going to put these tariffs in. Well, it's not good enough. Our protection of our borders is not good enough. And Trump knows that. And so he's flexing on our parliamentarians, which are just a bunch of suit dummies in my mind that are up there acting like they know everything and they're doing everything. And, well, we're not going to do this. We're going to double down on Donald Trump. And we're going to tell him to this, and this on tariffs on him and back at him. Not understanding that none of us as Canadians ever wanted any of this, but it's not going to hurt the suit dummies in Ottawa or Washington. It's hurting the people, the serfs, us goyim that we are to them. Is hurting us more. And they don't care. So there's a revolt coming. I know there is. I can sense it. I feel it. There's a revolt coming on both ends, and I think that's the agenda. I think the agenda is to push enough that it gets violent, that people have no other course of action but to force themselves into that situation. And then out of the chaos will come the order. Then out of the order comes the New World Order, which comes the annexation of Canada, which turns North America into one large country, which is plausible. I don't know if this is exactly what's happening, but I think that's Trump's endgame.
Yeah, look, I think Trump's endgame is, do I like Trump as a marketing manager for what he's done, and a servant? Yeah, you got to remember that Moses was a murderer. You know what I mean? Rahab was a prostitute. David was an adulterer. Samson, worshipped the occult. So all these people throughout history that God's used, none of them were perfect. Okay, but God's used them for what he needed. And I think Trump is an excellent marketing manager to the world of what we need to do, which is stand up, muscle up to the evil of the world, Pat. And that's what he's doing. So yeah, I love what's going on. I think it's the rest of the world is going to work from this movement, you know what I mean? And this ripple that goes out. We're seeing Romania, other countries now, are trying to have a go, and it's getting quite hectic. But yeah, I do believe the new substitute that's been brought into Canada is because of Trump. Trudeau can't play against Trump, mate. So they've brought the hard hitter in, you know what I mean?
Well, and I think that, he was always going to be on the way out with everything. I feel that what he's doing is he's trying to piss us off enough as Canadians to look into our government establishment, to look into the finances of our government and where they're going. But you see, Donald has a document called the USMCA Act, which is the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, formerly known as NAFTA, or the North American Free Trade Agreement between countries. in there, there's a clause under Section 27 that if there's any signs or evidence of collusion, bribery, infiltration, and foreign influence into a partnering country, then that country of the partnering countries can investigate these wrongdoings. And I don't understand why Donald Trump isn't using or exercising that instead of putting hundreds of billions of dollars of tariffs on to us, the Canadian people, when the Americans are just as dependent from Canadian products as the Americans are dependent of, as we are of American products. So why not go in and look under the USMCA Act, exercise your right to come in and investigate and show the Canadian people what kind of mess is really going on with the money laundering, with the shell corporations, with the safe haven tax havens for big multi-billion dollar organizations, rather than putting the boot on the throat of the people by implementing these tariffs on them. So to me, Trump, he made a wrong move on that one. If he's exposing Doge and he's exposing the corruption within their government, he not only can expose their government, he has a tool in his tool belt that can expose the Canadian government as well. But instead of exercising that tool to its full capacity, instead he'd rather implement these tariffs on us. So I don't like it.
Good point. Yeah, good point.
No Canadian likes this. People are like, oh, well, Pat, where's your convoys now? You're the same people that locked your grandmother up during a cold and flu season.
Yeah.
And now you're asking for our help, the ones that stood up for our rights, when we know the annexation, like he's threatening the annex Canada, will never happen. He's trolling you and you're biting. You're booing national anthems because some suit dummy told you that Americans are attacking Canada through trade. No, the suit dummies are the ones that are organizing this, and you're swallowing it up. People are just gullible, way too gullible.
That they are, Pat. And you have just been, I've let you do a lot of the talking because my end of the Wi-Fi is not real great, and people are saying I'm a bit hard to understand, Pat. But you could have been talking about Australia there with everything you said. That is exactly what, you could have just given you just gave a whole rundown on what's going on in Australia, and you were talking about Canada.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, that just shows the lockstep movement throughout the world and how these guys have been watching each country and playing each country, right, on their weak spots and their solid spots. You know what I mean? They knew they had to attack us at Canberra. They knew that they had to attack these guys in Ottawa, okay, or wherever they pulled up at. All right. They knew that they had it planned that there was a time they were going to come in and they were going to do enough destruction to hurt the movement. Then they're going to bring their shills. They already had their shills in there. All right. So their shills are in working inside of us. We've exposed shills just of lately, guys, with the rallies going on here in Australia, and they've been doing it to you all along, and everyone was ready to fall for it again. Until on the channel here, we said, listen, guys, and the numbers, went down. But, number one is these guys do not lose, guys, in their mind. They have won throughout history. They have written history. They have told history how they wanted history to be told. And then they taught it to us. They never educated us. They indoctrinated us. All right. They've never let us have elections. They've given us selections. Okay. And all the time, the Canadians have been playing ice hockey and having fun and doing whatever they do. We've been surfing, chasing girls around the beach, doing what we're doing, whacking another barbecue on, having another good time, drinking another case of grog, which is fine. But all the time in the background, this country, Patrick's country, New Zealand, UK, America, the Western civilizations of Europe were all being set up for this present time in history. All right. So this is the make or break time, guys. It really is, because we've been given the opportunity by Donald, as I'll call him, okay, Big D, right, to wake the fuck up. All right.
I agree. I agree. That's exactly what it is it's a giant wake up for it. Don't matter what side you're on, left, right, center, it doesn't matter. They're showing you how corrupted they are and how easy it is for them to get away with it because nobody out there has the balls or the fortitude to stand up to it. We took a stance. We stood up to it. They gave us what they gave us. But after all of us are up and through this, they can knock one ant down. But when all the ants stand up, they lose. And you guys have the ability to do that. And maybe you said, what's this? If you're late to the party.
Have a look at this, Pat. It's the same thing happening.
Parliament amidst claims of an anti-Semitic crisis. But federal police and ASIO recently confirmed that local meth heads were paid by foreign actors to stage anti-Semitic crimes throughout the country. The crimes include a fire in a synagogue, a criminal damage graffiti, and a conveniently discovered caravan full of explosives. It's not clear if some or all of the... Can't read the rest, but you got the same thing going on here. They were burning churches, and not one anti-Semitic comment about the churches being built. Not one group of people claiming, to stand up for, anti-Semitism. Instead, it went by the wayside. Not one person. We still don't know anybody who's been charged for any of it.
Yeah, I saw a clip in England yesterday, Pat, and the people were there, and the lady's going, the cops are trying to move them on. She's gone, so we're here peacefully protesting, and the cops gone, yeah. And she said, but we're protesting for Palestine. Yes, so you need to move on. So if we're going to stand here and protest for Israel, can we stay? And you know what the answer was? Yes.
Really?
On film, Matt, the cop just went, yes.
Okay.
So we know, and the world knows, that Israel, and it's the state of Israel, right, from the Balfour Declaration. This is not the Israel that God spoke of, all right, the Israel, the nation. This is a state of Israel created by the Balfour Declaration in 1917, instigated in 1948, but instigated before 1948 as they started to shunt people in there and cause problems in the Western Bank, okay, because everyone lived there peacefully for thousands of years. All religions from around the world lived on the Gaza Strip there. All of them. They all got on real well, real peaceful, until the fucking Israelis come along, and thought that they create this bit of mayhem called Israel. And why would they do that? Because God's favorite people were Israel. So the devil would have to come up with an Israel. And he did. And he's duped a lot of the people about it. I've explained to people about the Dome of the Rock in there. A load of bullshit. That's just an old fort. That is not where this temple was. Okay, so again, we've been duped throughout history to believe all this bullshit. Keep our eyes over here, Pat, while the target's over there. And this is what Israel has done with the Balfour Declaration and the state of Israel. And they will continue to do it. Israel lost they lost it last year. It's deceased. It was only a 76-year term.
Right. Now we have the same thing here in Canada. We have the Palestinians, paid protesters, all organized by the NDP party, which is our new Democratic Party, they call themselves. All organized. They burned the Canadian flag in protest. They stood up against Canada, melted the flag in front of everybody, chanting death to Canada, all the while backing Justin Trudeau and the Liberal Party. And I just shared something. If you want to bring it up, I'm sharing it with audio. But here's their fearless leader, and you guys are going to be flabbergasted when you see this. This was just the other day, claiming that, and I want to show it so that everybody gets this.
Well, can you share your screen, Kat? Where did you put it?
Yeah, it's shared. It's sitting at the bottom there.
Oh, right.
You just got to bring it.
Cool. I'll bring it in.
Ready? Listen to this. Oh, hang on. I got it on mute. Hang on.
Zionist, I am a Zionist.
Yeah, go back. I've seen this, yeah.
I'll play it again.
No one in Canada should ever be afraid to call themselves a Zionist. I am a Zionist.
And instead, and I'll stop sharing now, and instead of saying I am Canadian, he said the quiet part out loud. Now you have all these Palestinian paid protesters that came out and burnt the flag, and have this guy saying that he stands with Palestine and Ukraine and all of this, but openly says the quiet part out loud, saying he's a fucking Zionist. And now this whole country you would think would be lit on fire because of that. But nope, everybody's just like, oh, nothing to see. I lost my shit. I lost my marbles on this. This is disgusting on a level where you have all of this raw Palestine. All it is smoke and mirrors on this side, so you don't see what they're doing over here.
Exactly.
And over here, what they're doing right now, ladies and gentlemen, is they are getting prepared to lockstep and move forward on the agenda that is the 2030 New World Order agenda. By 2028, it'll be in full swing, and you won't be able to stop it.
Well, it's looking that way here too. We're on the 30-30 program, Pat. You know, by the year 2030, 30% of the land is given back to the Indigenous, 30% of the land can't be. And we've had, you know, just in New South Wales alone, one state where I live, Pat, we put this on the news last night, 76 state forests have been shut down to the people. 76, mate, including one that brings thousands of people to the New South Wales-Queensland border. My old boss, Preeny, when I was younger, used to own this, all right, Mount Warning. He owned the caravan park underneath Mount Warning. You can't even go there, Pat. They've shut the Campions, the Crampians down in South Australia, rock climbing. You know, and get this, because there is Indigenous artwork, some that can be seen and some that cannot. Mm-hmm. So they're actually telling you that there's invisible art there that they're saying that you can't go there because you might hurt the invisible art that you can't see. Like, these guys are so far off their fucking chops. It's just fucking crazy.
It's funny. They did the same thing. We have a pipeline that was going from Fort Saskatchewan, Alberta, all the way to Kitimat and Prince Rupert, over the mountains, over the Rocky Mountains, going through some land that was allocated for the pipeline. The permits and everything and the environmental thresholds were met years and years and years in advance. And now they have miracle Indigenous artifacts found floating on the snow, not feet under the ground where they would have been. And all of a sudden they were peppered, and in a mining term, it's called peppering. And they peppered the ground to say, oh, there's First Nations Indigenous artifacts. You can't put your pipeline through. So I myself go and do the investigation on this because I'm an oil and gas guy. I'm out of work. What do? I got to find out what this is true. I end up interviewing these so-called hereditary First Nations chiefs to ask them, where are these artifacts? Show them. Oh, you can't. Well, take me out to the site. Oh, no, we can't. It's a ancient site and nobody's allowed out there. I said, okay. So explain to me where you're getting all your money and funding to be out here to be doing this. And we find out, he openly says it, we take money from the Tides Foundation and other NGO organizations for water quality. We have our own environmentalists here. We have our own policies and things here. Why are you taking non-government organization funding from George Soros, the Tides Foundation, and then hampering pipeline projects that are already put in the ground under the basis of Native First Nations artifacts? And trust me, I love our First Nations communities. If this is to be true, I want to see it so that I can stand for them and stand up to that. It wasn't anything like that. The next thing you know, these guys organized huge rallies with paid agitators from America, brought over in buses, and placed on our railways to stop the flow of our goods and services getting to market. As soon as I bring out that these guys are taking money from the NGOs and non-government organizations, poof, the blockades disappear and COVID was implemented in order to just get everybody away from it. Don't look at what was going on there, albeit this was all bought and paid for. Like yourselves, same thing. You've got a non-government organization that is leading the charge on that. And I don't know the situation, but it's probably something similar. And if we're looking at apples and apples to oranges, I'd have to say that, Guru, between you and I, over the last 5 years, I've watched what's happened in Australia to only see it happen here. Now you're seeing what's happened here happening there. There is a lot of similarities between our two countries, albeit crown countries. There's similarities that are happening here, that are happening there. And ladies and gentlemen, this is why Guru and I collaborate all the time, is because I need to know what's going on there. He hasn't been able to, for 3 years, hear what's going on up here. Well, other than what he can follow, but from the horse's mouth. And now here we are. So this is our reunion, our reunion to get back and start showing things the way that it's going. Because during COVID, we were helping them. They were helping us. We were watching what was going on with them and how they were winning. We were taking that and using and utilizing it here. So now it's again, ladies and gentlemen, you saw the convoy. We united on a world stage, on a world level. We had countries all over. How many? How many did you guys have in Canberra?
Look, I'll stand on putting 2 million through there over a period of about, 6 to 7 days. And I reckon there was probably 1 million there that actually stayed for a few of them, hardcore days. Did we have people in and out? Yeah, but we had the traffic cameras, the government's own traffic cameras told us that there was 1.2 million extra vehicles entered Canberra over that period of time. Now, did they all come with one person in the car, Pat? I don't think so. No. I think the cars probably had 3 or 4. So we done it at an average of 2. Now, an average of 2 people, 1.2 million cars is 2.4 million people. Okay. Right. And that's being very realistic. Were they in and out? Yes, they were. Because like me and Mel, we went down for a couple of days to feel a protest and see what was going on. Someone gave me a microphone and I was still there 7 months later. You know what I mean? So that's how it went. We went for a couple of days. We had 2 days worth of clothes with us. You know what I mean? Like, it was just crazy, mate. And here we are 7 months later. We're still there. Have we been home to do it? Yeah. Our boat got put up on the wharf in big seas and really heavy. We had to come home, repair the boat, go back to Canberra. But every weekend and every week we were there and we ran the stage, we done the deed, and we done what we had to do, and it was great. There was me, Bosie, who carried it on, you know what I mean, for that 6 or 7 months, but, and all the people, obviously, that turned up every weekend. But look, Pat, we got to do more of these, man. We got to get a few more now that you're released from, 100%.
100%. I'd love to fly you out here because I have an opportunity now that's coming, and I'm actually going to be setting up in a studio in Montreal, Canada. And I'm going to be in a full studio setting, full-on podcast with big interviews going on. So it'd be nice if we could fly you and Mel out here and have a Joe Rogan-style conversation on all of this with zero censorship.
That'd be cool. And we got some other things happening in the background here. And if something like that gets going, Pat, we'd probably like to do a relay of that over to here on a 24-hour, you know what I mean, or on a system that we're looking at it in the background. So, that could work out very, very good, mate. Very good.
100%.
All right, look, I got another one to go to, Pat. I got to do a radio interview about Clive Palmer. So
I got one too. I've got to get prepared for another one as well. I got one tonight at 6. So
okay, mate. Look, great to talk to you, brother. Look, we're in touch now. We're talking again because of your restraint. You've had to keep your fucking head in. But we're back out there, guys. So the band's back together. We will be getting back together again very soon. But we've got 2 big major problems in our countries. They are the establishment running them and the people that have been given the instruction to fool the rest of the sheep. And this outro is what that's about tonight, Pat. Okay, it's about those newsreaders, those people that come into our lounge room every night to talk shit. So I'll talk to you soon, Pat. I'll hit the outro. great to talk to you, mate. Thank you for everyone tuning in. Share it out. And, yeah, Pat and I will be doing more of these in the very near future. Cheers, Pat.
100%. Thanks, brother.
And sorry for blocking your friend. Let her know. I hope she come back in on Twitter or something.
No worries. No worries.
Okay. See you, brother. Love you, Canada.
Take care, man.
Hang on. Here we go. Why isn't it? Okay, we're going to get it, guys. I think my computer's being real slow.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. The man with the suit and the tie looks me dead in the eye, and he lies. Yeah, he lies. Then the woman with the makeup and the blouse beams right into my house, and she lies. Yeah, she lies. The man wants me to be scared. The man making me see red, 'cause I know that he lies. Yeah, he lies. Then the woman with the beautiful eyes is no longer beautiful, because I realize that she lies. Yeah, she lies. Well, you ain't welcome round here no more. Been down this road too many times before. This the last time you ever cast your spell. You fooled me once, so shame on you. Won't fool me twice, 'cause I see right through the oh so many lies you always tell. From the north to the east, to the west to the south, you cover much ground with your filthy mouth and your lies. Yeah, your lies. You lie so much you believe yourself. The day you tell the truth will be a cold day in hell. I despise all those lies. Well, you ain't welcome round here no more. Been down this road too many times before. This the last time you ever cast your spell. You fooled me once, so shame on you. Won't fool me twice, 'cause I see right through the oh so many lies you always tell. See what you do with your plastic smiles and your auto cues and those lies. Yeah, those lies. How much longer can you hide the truth? When this lion wakes, it's gonna eat you and your lies. Yeah, your lies. You ain't welcome round here no more. Been down this road too many times before. This the last time you ever cast your spell. You fooled me once, so shame on you. Won't fool me twice, 'cause I see right through the oh so many lies you always tell. The man with the suit and the tie looks me right dead in the eye, and he lies. Yeah, he lies.